right, Dad. I appreciate you sitting down for an interview with me really quick. The first question, when did you first know you were interested in sports?
Oh, I was a pretty young guy. I look back and think about my life. You don't really remember things in your life here. Maybe 6, 7. So I was probably about 6 years old.
Okay. And who was the most important athlete when you were younger?
To me, the one that impacted on my life was probably 2 athletes that local hometown favorites like Al Kaline and Gordie Howe.
Okay. And were they also your favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the most exciting game you ever saw or played in?
Well, I can remember a lot of memorable moments from Little League baseball and football to playing flag football in college and baseball and world softball tournaments I've been involved in, which were big times in my life. But I think the overall most exciting game was just recently when I was at me and your mother were watching Garalaga play against the Cleveland Indians and pitched that near perfect game, which really, as many eyes it is. Some people think he's the only player that got a perfect game in 28 outs instead of 27, but that was a very exciting moment in my life. Just to observe a guy who had that opportunity to do that. And I think the other thing I took home from that was how well he dealt with that near a perfect game, how he handled himself as a young man.
Definitely. That had to be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
How has preparation for a game, any game, changed over the years?
Well, I think preparation for athletic events, sporting events, has dramatically changed it, and I think a lot of the momentum is brought on by the ability for athletes who want to make themselves more prepared. Back in the day when I was don't remember that I wasn't even born yet with Babe Ruth, but I'd see clips when he would get up to the bat. He didn't have the obvious athletic physique that you see most athletes now, but he's the guy that they could say he'd have a hot dog and a cold one in the on-deck circle, and he'd get up to the batter's box and still have mustard on his jersey and still be able to point to where he's going to hit the ball and hit a home run out in that area. And I think that's far different than the athlete of today that prepares with a lot of gusto and really off-season workout. He knows that they train very hard in the off-season to prepare their body to be the fastest, the strongest, and the best athlete no matter what event they're in. So I think the preparation is far different than what it was like.
A little more intense, it sounds like. How has money changed sports over your lifetime? And in your opinion, was it for the better or probably for the worse?
Well, obviously, obviously the dollar of the inflation, what's happened has dramatically changed. People are getting paid no matter what you do a little bit more, but I think unequally, I think athletes are paid a lot more money than what they do than compared to the average worker who, when you look at inflation, how much money they're getting. So I think there's been a proclivity for people being reimbursed monies that I think is way out of proportion. I think it only is going to hurt. I think it's going to hurt sports in general. I think that it's already stopping a young family that wants to go to a Tiger game or to an athletic event because of the cost. I think it's driving them away from the game, and I think that it may come to a point where, like the New York Yankees have their own television network, and they can actually subscribe, they have enough subscribers. But I think if you really want to get fan interest, it's going out to the event is very important for a person to see what it's like to run the bases. You see the Tigers now. There are having days where they let the kids run the bases at the end of the game. I think that's important to get them very more intimately associated with the game itself and the players.
Okay. We're going to get a little more intimate with the questions, a little more down to earth. What do you think of the issue of race in sports?
I don't think there's any major issue myself. I think like anything else, sports should bring together different races and different ethnicities. As you look in baseball, I mean, there's been a certain trend towards having more individuals from South America, the Dominican Republic, infiltrating the baseball professional venue. I think that's probably because, interestingly, they have a drive to excel at baseball. They have warmer climates, they can play baseball year-round, but that's their way out. Their way to get to the big time, making more money and maybe to a land of opportunity by doing that, which is great. And you see a lot of younger, American young athletes, there's not that much drive to play baseball. So it's interesting. As far as race and ethnicity, I think when a group of people are together on a team in anything, whether it be at the workplace at General Motors or on a baseball field, I think that understanding and working as a team is important. So to understand someone's ethnicity and the things that they believe in, whether it be religion or things that their cultural things, I think it brings to the workplace or the team some things that make the team more cohesive. As you listen to the Tiger games and when it's over, you listen to the clubhouse, you hear the music, and some of the music is back there. It might be rap, it might be something from the Dominican Republic or from South America. Right? I think players know that it's important to appreciate the values of other players in their team and their ethnicity. So I think it's kind of a cool thing that you look at back in America as a melting pot kind of a country where people immigrated from different countries, and I think it's made America as great as it is today. So I think sometimes you see that in sports. I think a team, races and different ethnicity, I think it brings people together more. It's not about me or you, it's about us. And I think as I look at it as it pertains to the real world problems today, whether it be the Middle East or whether it be the war between Palestine and Israel, I think I think that's a lot of the problems today in today's world is that people don't see through the eyes of other people in their country, and I think sports can sometimes bring different groups, different races, different ethnicities together to get them together, and for a common goal, winning the World Series or winning the Super Bowl or whatever. Appreciate that we're all in this together. We all are all human beings, and I think that's to me what I look at with sports with different ethnic groups and different races.
Okay, thanks for that. What do you think about the issue of drugs? Marijuana in football, we're seeing more commonly, steroids in all sports. How does that impact the game, and what is your take on that?
Well, I think that it's very important. I think that athletes play a big role in society with younger people more than anybody else. Older people get through it, know that we've all been through being a young man or a young woman, and we all know that there's a lot of temptations in life, and we all want to be cool and this kind of thing. But not until we get older do you understand how much impact an athlete or a person who's a singer or a dancer or someone in the media that's very big, how that impacts young people. And I think if they understood that more, they would maybe do things differently. We all know the influence of drugs, whether they be marijuana, drinking, androgens that help build up bodybuilders to make themselves a better performing athlete, enhancing drug. But more, I look at even like these guys that do quite a bit of dipping. Kids see what they do. They want to be like him. They think that's why he hits 500 or whatever, or gets the hits for the cycle, or is he offered a big contract. I think that's very important. I think on and off the field behavior is very important. Look at what's happened. We've seen with Tiger Woods. These kinds of issues have come up more than one time. Kobe Bryant had an issue with infidelity too. I think that these people all have to be held accountable for what's going on. So I think that drugs can affect people, and I think the biggest problem is that these kids see that they think it's cool, and I think how it affects them is two different. How many guys really become Kobe Bryant or Isaiah Thomas? I mean, we're all hoping to be that someday, but understanding some point over the line that we're not going to make it to that level. So, but I think that it's very important that athletes understand their